Hello, welcome to this video. Today I am starting the day working in my commonplace book. I talked a little bit about this in the last video. Essentially what I'm doing is a commonplace book is a place where you record ideas from other people that you would like to remember and reference. And so I'm using my commonplace book as a way to put down those ideas, but also explore the techniques and the processes of other artists to kind of understand better how they make their work and how their work is constructed. When you sit down and actually reproduce an artwork, you get a much better understanding of how the piece of art is constructed and the composition and the different things that go into creating the final image. Today I'm working with Where the Wild Things Are, which I'm sure all of you are familiar with. It was one of my favourite childhood books and I've always loved the illustrations in it. The reason I'm looking at this one now is that I was lucky enough to find a copy in a secondhand store for $2. I'm really trying to prioritise doing this sketchbook work and making time to explore other people's artwork and styles and be developing and doing my own sketchbooking, because I think it's a really important part of art making is making the time to explore those things. Alright, it is pretty hot. I got way carried away doing this. I was going to split up over a couple of days and I just sat down and just did it all. But I had a lot of fun working on this. For a start, I'm using definitely different materials from what were used for the original. He definitely had lighter colored ink or watered down ink or something. It felt like maybe it was a dip pen or something like that. It was different materials, a slightly finer nib, or else it was done much larger and then reproduced smaller for the book. I'm not sure which. So mine has ended up a little bit harsher because I've been using black pen rather than the different inks that he had. And I haven't quite got the colours exactly as the original. But I didn't understand the kind of looseness of some of the background parts of the book, which was quite fun to do. Rather than making an exact replica, it's about spending that time in contemplation and understanding the lines and working on techniques like hatching and things, and seeing how many different kind of layers and stuff make up a work, which is what I'm really focusing on, rather than producing something that's exactly the same, because it doesn't, that isn't necessary for what I'm trying to do. The next thing that I'm working on, which I don't think I'm going to get much time to work on today after all, will be the little zine that I'm planning to make. So it's going to be one not quite A4 page. I'm going to do a little bit smaller than an A4 that will aid in printing it. But essentially how it works is you've got an A4 sheet. It is folded into 8, and then you cut a slit down the middle, and then that folds like this. You fold it around, and so you've got a little booklet that appears using those folds, which is really cute. It's much cooler here today, which is good because I didn't quite get through all I wanted to do yesterday. In my own time without kind of recording, have done some sketches ahead of what's going to be the zine. It looks basically like indistinct scribbles on the page right now to anyone else, but to me it's mapped out what I'm going to do. I'm going to be using 2 colors. So we'll be having a gradient of white, which is the paper. I'm going to use pink and I'm going to use red, so it will go as a gradient through the red tones. so I have completed my drawings, and also using the template that I showed you earlier that mocks out how it's going to work. I have laid out where each of the pages will go because I didn't necessarily understand the order until I completed the drawings. I let myself kind of go through that process of I guess kind of discovery and finding the narrative amongst the drawings that I did. I've got my lino, it is glued to a piece of ply just to give it a little bit more strength and durability between layers, and I have drawn on just like the outline of how it's going to print on the page. So now I need to transfer my sketches onto the block, and then I can do some carving if I still have time today. It's about 2:30, so I have an hour and a half, 2 hours until I need to start doing something else. So we'll see how far I get. I feel like I can at least probably do all my transferring, which is a good start. So these are kind of my basic processes, and I don't really feel like I need to go through every single thing every single time. If you're interested in the materials I use, I will link my tools guide down below. It's free, you can go to my website and just download it. I use baking paper to do my tracing and transferring onto the block. I use a manual process because I just find that a lot easier. So it's just, I put this over the top, it's transparent, and I trace using an HB pencil, and then I flip that and rub on the back and it transfers onto the block. So I have about 45 minutes until I have to be moving on to the next thing, but I'm going to see how much I can get done quickly in that time. I may in fact start with the text that's going to be carved out white, which is here. There is an artist called Sambal who is on Instagram. She's on Instagram under Night Press, I believe, and her tip is to, she's so good at carving text, and her tip is to use a mirror. So I'm going to get my hand mirror and I'm going to carve this bit of text, and then I'm going to get working on the rest of it. Fortunately, there isn't so much white in this, so I should be able to get most of this done pretty quickly. Okay, so it is Friday morning. I have one of these squares left to carve. It's this one with the figures. It's sort of the most complicated one. I had hoped to be done and printed yesterday and editing this video today. I really wanted to make Friday editing day, but I just haven't managed to get there this year. But maybe next week I will. You being noisy? You noisy? Good boy. Don't be eating. Good boy. I went back to roller derby training last night for the first time, probably in a couple of months. I was starting to go back at the end of last year, but I ended up sort of taking a break towards the end of the year. So I was back again, and I'm really tired. But I'm going to get this done. I will finish carving, I will be printing, and then this will be done for this week. So, I'm going to get a glass of water. Come on. I have finished the carving, And now it's time to print the first layer out of this zine. Once again, if you're interested in any of the materials that I like to use for my linocut prints, you'll find the tools guide in the description. You can download it for free. This zine, once it's complete, will be the January Patreon reward for my Pen Pal tier patrons. So if you're interested in receiving one, sign up before the end of January and I'll send one to you in the post. Otherwise, I'm just excited to do my first print of the year. I've got an empty wall. I took down everything that was on my drying lines. So it's going to be nice to have something up and in progress. This vlog will complete with the end of layer 1. So if you're interested in seeing my progress through to the end, tune in next week and I will be printing and carving layer 2 of the zine. First layer is going to be pink. I believe I have a pink that I've used recently that I can use because I save all of the like leftovers of my ink that I've mixed. So that's dried. I wonder if it's in one of these tin foil. I'm going to combine some of these and then I'm going to bulk it out with some fresh ink because this block is going to take quite a bit of ink to print because there's quite a large surface area. I've done something stupid. I've buttered the block up on wood and it ends up higher than my jig, which means I can't place my paper consistently. So this is a game of watch me try and solve this in real time. So one option is I could place the paper and place the block. Flip it. Press it properly. And then do some burnishing. Oh, that's gonna be hard to pull as well. Okay. That's probably as good as we're gonna get. So